That's scary. Oh. Scary. All right, so clearly I got audio now. That's good. Get some stuff ready here. Started in a couple minutes. All right, let me get 1 second there, but hey, everybody. Welcome to SEO This Week. This is episode 33. Thank you all for joining. I asked last week who wanted to talk about using significant link for their internal linking or linking out from other websites, etc. So I'll go ahead and do that today. And then also last week talked about Corey's course, that topical SEO course, or topical authority, semantic SEO is how he's got it listed, course. So just give you my my thoughts on that thus far, in case you're deciding whether you want to buy it or not. So I think it's, and then we'll get into the Q&A stuff. So it should be pretty good. Oh, and then Eric has the whole, Jesus, Eric, we can do a whole show on that shit. I'll try to get to Eric's question too, but we'll see. No promises on that one, Eric. That's a long one. That's a doozy. All right, so let's Fuck, where are we gonna start? I guess we'll start right off from go over the holistic SEO stuff. How's that? So with that, this is where I'm at so far with this course. I'm gonna turn something on here real quick. If I can find it. There it is. So this is where I'm at with this course so far. I've taken notes, some, instance or some type of notes throughout the course that I've watched so far. Almost every video I've written stuff down for it. Whether that's an actual thing that I learned out of it or a concept that he's kind of teaching, etc. But in the interest of not giving people's courses away for free on the internet, on YouTube, I'm going to just kind of, just do a little bit of highlighting stuff in my initial thoughts about this thing. So as many of you, if any of you know the Corey and the history of this, and he was talking a lot, and he's got this website, Holistic SEO, and he does some videos and stuff and shows a lot of ranking boners and talks about how he's using semantics and topical authority, and talks about how he's using the patents and language learning models and et cetera, for SEO. It has a lot of results, and he's doing topical maps, and he's done thousands of them, et cetera, and you guys all know me. I don't take people at the face value and go, yeah, that's what you did. I mean, I look at what they're talking about, I analyze it, and then I go test it, and does it work for me? And I think that whole for me thing is actually important, because I can tell you guys to do something and it may or may not work for you. And that's where I'm at with this course and this whole idea behind it. So with that, the introduction lectures. I need my pen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. The introduction lectures part here. That's essentially a glossary. This is a glossary as well. And it essentially what he's done is there are some things and some concepts in here that are academic. And then there's other that he's made up because there is no other term for them, so he just kind of made them up, right? And then there's a academic glossary application to things that we all talk about. So let's go with what was one? It was contextual. Geez, what is it? In contextual hierarchy. That's interlinking. Contextual structure is the way he's using heading tags. Relevance configuration is the order of heading tags. Micro content versus macro content. Micro content or macro content is the main basis of the article, and then the micro content is like the FAQ section that you would use on your pages, and then the main content is just the whole thing put together. Contextual vectors is like anchor text, and content engineering is just putting all that stuff in order. So there's a lot of application of academic terms to, I don't want to say rename, but basically what he's done is he's connected the terms that we know or we speak to regularly in our SEO vocabulary to the academic terms that are being used in the patents and in the research publications that Google puts out, et cetera. And then he's created this course to, essentially bring those two worlds together. I think it's useful if you are a patent reader. I think it's useful if you're listening to or reading someone like Corey who talks at an academic level in regards to his application of his SEO and stuff. But on the other side of that too, I don't know that it's not overly complicated, and that overcomplication can lead to misunderstandings. And you're essentially creating a new glossary that everyone else isn't using for the same terms that people are using, or for the same concepts that people have generally wide known terms for. And that, to me, I think really at the end of the day, it just kind of reduces the amount of understanding in the concepts that you're teaching. And it makes it overly complicated when you don't have to talk at this super highly academic level. So if you're not into that and you don't want to be able to, or you don't want to have to connect the academic side with the vocabulary you're currently using, like interlink, anchor text, H tags and hierarchies, etc., then this course is probably not for you, because I'll tell you, I'm at lesson 41 here, as you can see, and we haven't even talked about how he makes content maps yet. He doesn't even go into it until lesson 80, and there's 87 lessons in here. So I think that's if you're followed him for so long and he talks about these content maps and these topical maps that he makes and et cetera, you're going to be solely disappointed when you find out you got to watch 79 other videos before you actually get to the topical maps, because he's over explaining and super nerding this stuff. Bright side is the videos are short, but got a little bit off track here. This video here, he did that SEO summit in Saigon. This is a copy of that presentation that's 45 minutes long. It was actually pretty good. And I think, honestly, having watched that and then watching the rest of the videos, I actually got way more out of this thus far than the rest of the videos to this point. I will say that he does point out a couple of the websites that he's working with. And there's I want to caution you on his ranking boner charts. If you know what I'm talking about, he shows those charts in his case studies, and he's ranking really good, and then they shoot up like this in his graph. What he's not telling you, once you get his sites, because you get to see some of his sites in here, once you get it to see that, these are actually set for all time, right? All time. Jesus, can't spell with my mouse today. So this is set for all time, and this time period right here is like 4 years.
We can't see that, Clint. Are you trying to point to something?
Jesus Christ. Can you see you can see the screen at all?
We could just see the Corey's course thing.
All right. Thanks for saying something. Let's go. Better? Should be better.
Yeah, we could see that now.
Okay. You guys just won't be able to read. So trust me, it says words, because it's my screen's all blown up. Anyway, so this is actually over a 4-year period of time. And then this here is the last year. So in every one of these where he's got this big old ranking boner where it shouts up, if you get in here and you see the domains, you'll see that this happens over the course of a year, not like, oh, look, I was doing sucky and then now I'm awesome. This span right here is a year's period of time. All right. And every site that he showed in this video is like that. To the site, every example that he showed in the video, he gave the domain name and everything, is like that. And in the presentations and in the case studies, it's look how great this did. Look, it shot up. But it shot up, but it did it over the course of a year. So you're not going to come in here and apply core A stuff and get this instant ranking boat. It's just not going to happen. To me, I think it's a little bit, I don't know that he did it to be disingenuous. I don't know that he did it on purpose. But it is disingenuous to give the impression that look, it went up, and then not mention that, oh, this was over the course of a year. So just, know that now going in. I will show you one site that he shared, and it's this one. He's even offered in the presentation inside guide and then the presentations inside of the videos. He's like, if you want to, be an investor in this and help me grow this business and reach out. So I think it's safe to say that this one will be shared at some point publicly. So I don't mind sharing it with you guys, but go in and put this in the Ahrefs, set it to all time, and you'll see that the graphs match the case study stuff that he's showing, and then set it to the last 2 years. And then you can actually see the real true story of the rankings, improvements, etc., from applying his stuff. In a lot of videos, he does reference his YouTube channel and his SlideShare stuff. And it says, if you want to understand more about the topic, then go watch the YouTube videos or the SlideShare stuff that I already did. So, I mean, to me, if you don't have the $1,000 to drop for a course, just go watch his YouTube videos and the SlideShare stuff, and you can kind of figure this stuff out without buying the course at this point. This is the basis of his training. It's keyword to question is essentially what he's talking about. Let me zoom in so you guys can read the title at least. So this keywords to question is essentially whatever keyword that you're doing, the search engine has to go, why is the user looking for this? This is what this whole madness says, right? So why is the searcher looking for this? And it has to turn it into a question, and then that in return, and they use that question to figure out who's answering that question. So even if you're doing something like plumber or Dallas plumber, for example, so you're doing Dallas plumber, there's a question there is the search, who are plumbers in Dallas? What do Dallas and plumbers in Dallas do? Those kind of things. And you can use ChatGPT to answer that. As a matter of fact, let me open that up. Why not? We'll do it. Let's see if I can zoom in here. Yeah, I can. Cool. You should see that. So give me questions about Dallas plumber. So this is vague. You can build this up a little bit more. How do I find a reliable Dallas plumber? Typical rates for a Dallas plumber, certifications. So all of these questions, or into some version of them, is what this is. This patent is where this is actually a research paper, but there is an associated patent with the K2Q questions to query keywords to questions. So the foundation of his topical maps, in some instances, is using H tags, and pretend these are all H tags, for example, and this is H1, H2, 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 to structure your page. So if I was going to do a Dallas plumber page, and then I would have these as all my headings talking about and answering those questions, as an example. And so when he's writing in his first examples, he relied heavily on this K2Q thing to teach his concepts and doing the topical map, and he's pointing it all out, and this is how you pick the keywords, etc. And these keywords is based off of search volume and relevance. So if in regards to, well, I don't want to get too far, but in relevance, Dallas Plumber, all of his keywords would essentially be what we know as long tails. So Dallas Plumber toilets, Dallas Plumber sinks, Dallas Plumber, those kind of, that's how his keywords are chosen. It's not like related searches or anything like that. It's right on. Everything's got to say Dallas Plumber inside of that keyword set. And then he builds his hierarchies off of that, which is pretty interesting. If you thinking about that whole process. So that's one method he teaches. And the other one is asking or figuring out the type of question that a search result would be served best by. So let's go. Give me a list of questions someone would ask that is looking for a new drone for photography. All right. So we got all these responses. So let's say, what are the best drones for aerial photography and videography? That's a good post right there. Now that question would generate or probably be best served by a list. So now he's going to take this heading and then do the keyword research and then build a list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 based off of finding the best answer for this question. Right. So you can break it down from, he can take aerial photography, for example, and break that down into 5 things about aerial photography that would require would be the unique requirements in aerial photography for a drone. And then the same for videography. There would be unique requirements, and you figure that out, and then you put that together in this main document. And then at the end of this document would be a set of questions just like this, and essentially what we would think of as a FAQ section. And so that's how he's building these topical maps, and that's kind of how he's explained it. I've dumbed it all down. Remember, he's all talking all academic, the common sense guy here, right? I just want to get it as plain as possible so I can implement it, and I want to do it at scale. So that's the crux of what he's teaching inside of all of these videos throughout here. And he's putting them all in spreadsheets, and you've seen examples of these spreadsheets, I'm sure, on the internet. And he's calling the topical maps. And so that's that topical map is the, I don't know, I would say the backbone of everything that he's doing for the work. You know what I mean? So it's, this is the titles. He's in his topical map. He makes a list for all the pages that he wants on his website. Same way that I've shown before using a mind map. He's just doing it in a spreadsheet, all the pages, all the keyword queries that are related to it. He figures out the URLs before he writes them for those pages. And then he figures out the H1s. No, it's the keywords, the titles, the H1s, the featured image is the alt text for the featured image, and the URLs for the pages. That's the site topical map. And then the pages are done H1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4 as needed. And then he figures out his anchor text for his internal links and which pages those are going to. And then he figures out some more image stuff, and then the keywords are there. So he's essentially for lack of, he's using his topical map to build the site structure, and then he uses the topical map to build the page structures, and so that it's all connected. And his pages, based off of the examples I've shown, have got to be at least 3,000 to 5,000 words, which is a lot. And he's already said that 90% of the content, it's there, it's high quality, it ranks, it gets traffic, but it is not the focus of the website. The focus of the website is to sell the thing. So in the water example, he wants to sell water, right? But he's got a bunch of these articles in order to build the topical authority about drinking water. And so the idea is, if he gets enough of these articles that rank and get traffic, he creates a historical data set inside of Google, and Google goes, we found good content there. We ranked that good content. People are going to it, is getting good traffic, and is answering a whole bunch of queries about drinking water, about a whole bunch of informational queries about drinking water. There you go. Because the content is so large and they answer so many questions, he's saving Google money by reducing the amount of other pages that they have to crawl and rank, because this is now an authoritative source on drinking water. So that's, and then because he's ranking good for this authority content, and that's what we'll just call it. We'll call it authority content. He then, by extension, will rank good for his products that he's trying to sell. So that's, I mean, I think I just gave you the whole course in 22 minutes with some deep breaths. So I still have to finish it. You see, I'm at 41. It's a long course. The videos are 6-7 minutes long. There's just a lot to translate in my brain from academic to practical real world. And then once we get into the topical map stuff, I'll see how long this is versus the topical maps that, say, I would create. And it's really, at the end of the day, I think it's going to end up being more of a workflow difference than a structural difference, because I've taught you guys to create content outlines. I've taught that kind of stuff, and that content outline thing, it connects the H1 all the way to the H4, and it's this ordered, structured format of your page, right? He's taking it to ordered, structured format of the site, and then to the page, which interconnects everything and then makes you an authority. It's not new. It's not groundbreaking. It's just, again, it's a connection between what's being seen and said in the academic papers to have you more clearly think about the math of the search algorithm. Remember, everything I talked about in SIA and then my presentations when I'm speaking, etc. It's about talking to the math. The math can't read, but the math is able to figure out certain things and answer certain questions and look for certain constructs of words, etc. N-grams, for example, semantics of phrases, and then individual words, and then keyword density. You compile all that together and you get this essentially topical authority, because all of the pages on your site are about that thing. One other thing that is really interesting that I like is he talks about publishing pace. So depth, breadth, and pace, right? So publishing pace. And a lot of people, including myself, who build those mass sites, we build a site with 10,000 pages, and we're like, I'm programmatic SEO, look how awesome I am. And then 3 months later, we're crying because Google's not indexing our stuff. He says that that's because of one, and he said in all of his testing, when he did that, the indexing and crawl rate just shit the bed. It was horrible. And then the second thing he said is don't publish out of pattern. So like we do SEO this week every Monday at 10 a.m. If this was a blog post, I would actually have a hard time with indexing and crawling because the bot is essentially, I'm essentially programming the bot to come back every Monday or Tuesday, and that's when you're going to find new content. And then the rest of the time, if I was going to publish, let's say this was a blog, if I published on a Wednesday, it wouldn't find it for a whole week because it was already taught this pace that I only published every Monday. So he's saying randomize your publishing, not only the day, but randomize the time, randomize the number of pages you publish at a time, et cetera. Make it as unpredictable as possible so that the indexing bots and the crawling bots have to keep coming back often, and then you reduce your indexing issues, which I thought was pretty, that was insightful. I don't know that I hear anyone talking about that. I think I used to publish regularly when I first got started. I was one of those guys like, I'm going to do a blog post today, and I did blog post today. That's when I unfortunately, the result of doing that, the lack of benefit from it, you just burnt me out on writing, right? But there's still a good message pretty much everywhere that you should publish consistently. But now I would also recommend you publish consistently at in randomness. Is that better? I think that was a better explanation of kind of how he's talking about the publication pace. So what else I want to show you? I don't have to draw right now. So K2Q, he's writing, supposedly he's got this book. He references it like 10 times in the training videos thus far, and he hasn't even published it. It's just a Google Doc. He says it's his book. So that'll be out. So look this up. Just go K2Q generating natural language, and you'll find this PDF. The other one is implicit question query identification. Let me zoom in so you guys can read that title. Implicit question query identification. It was a patent as well. If you're like me and you don't want to read this academic stuff and try to, play looking at a dictionary and figuring out what it all means and stuff, I have a tool for you. It's called Chat with PDF. It's at chatpdf.com, chatpdf.com. You go over here, download this on PDF, drop it in here, and it'll read the PDF and then guide you through a whole bunch of questions to help you understand what's in that PDF. And I think that's dope as shit. That was awesome. This is a good use of AI. And it's pretty cool. Let me see if I have a PDF handy. Oh, yeah, I think this is the keyword, right? So, yeah, PDF title, and then here's your example questions. And here's a good one. So I'm going to copy this question, drop it in. And see, it's not using super nerd words and is making it easy for you to understand a little bit better, right? Let's see, what are the potential applications? Okay. And you can do this to your heart's content. You can ask it more questions, figure out some other things. It's read this, right? So when you get to a section that you don't understand, like here, there's no direct research on the problem. Is there any research? Any research on K2Q? And then it just essentially just referred me back to this, right? So it's a little bit of a some refinements and stuff, but I like it. It's pretty neat, and just kind of help you understand this stuff. You can also just go in here and, if you know, dumb it down a little bit, and when I read these, a lot of the time I just skip all this math stuff. It's just gobbledygook Chinese to me, but some of you guys might understand it. But I like the high levelness of this tool, so it's cool. Okay, so you got that now. All right. So we have any questions so far on that, on the Corey stuff? We should be good. Let's see. I think there are easier ways to achieve the same results studying other resources. What do you think? I mean, at this point, Boris, I would probably agree. I mean, there is something to be said with knowing and understanding the patents, and knowing and understanding language learning models, and knowing and understanding context and semantics. But there are less complicated ways to explain it. And I think that unless you really want to dive deep into the academics of that stuff, you're better off finding someone who's going to speak to you in essentially plain English, right? So, I mean, that's kind of why I like going through these kind of courses, and I'll bring that stuff to the SIA community, and I'll test each of these things, et cetera, and see, what is it? Is it worthwhile to do it? 2, is it financially, is it worth the time to do it? And then 3, is it worth the money to do it? And if it's yes to all of those, then you probably want to know that concept or thing, right? So that's why I like learning that. Let's see. Are those case study websites in Turkish? Because English SERP is more difficult. No, they're all they are in English. I know that his on his website, when he talks about those case studies and stuff, and he's mentioned this, he uses those when he's writing those case studies, he's screwing around with them, and I think that's really why it makes it hard to read. But that's neither here nor there. He's writing those, and then writers are actually writing his actual content for him. So historical data sounds like some BS. I think there's a there's a little bit to it, but I don't know that it is as important as the implication is, in regards to the old concept of topical authority. And the reason I say that is I have a couple websites, after the Broadcore update, that just shot to the moon. They're doing awesome right now. And we didn't really do a whole lot, but just get steady traffic, and we were ranking for words steadily over time. And then we just, honestly, I think it's more we just got lucky because we hit a set of keywords that are real popular and almost damn near evergreen. So, but that being said, if you think of anything in regards to CTR, then you kind of have to understand that it would be logical for Google to track something, and that may be the CTR rate from the SERPs to your website would be one of those. And if people turn to you in a market, let's say drinking water, for example, and your website is constantly being turned to on all topics of drinking water, that historical data would be used to judge where they want to rank you in the beginning, before you get the backlinks and all that page rank stuff. So I think that historical data has actually got some teeth to it. How do you test it and prove it beyond a reasonable doubt? I mean, unless you have someone inside of the Google, you won't be able to, but it is a concept that certainly has legs. Do you think you can beat those authority websites with less content but backlinks? I've beaten authority websites before. I think where you would lose the battle is breadth. So if you're have a 1,000-page article that ranks for 500 words, and you try to do it with a 1,500-word article, you're probably going to have a hard time beating them for all 500 keywords, but you can narrow it down and go after their more larger traffic or pick a set of keywords. I have templates optimized for 40 keywords, and those in the template, it ranks really well for 40 keywords. So you could certainly beat an authority site with that template. I think you wouldn't be able to beat them as wide as they're getting you without making more pages. Does that make sense? Is there a tool I showed the vague keywords in the questions. Well, vague is not vague. If it's vague, it's not there's no context to it. So the keyword has to be modified with adjectives in order to make it not vague. Games is not vague. Games is broad. There's all these broad topics on games. So the questions be what board games are there? What video games are there? What VR games are there? What physical games are there? Those are plenty of questions. You can do all that with ChatGPT. So not sure about now, but it was not a problem to index a batch for a few hundred pages if interlinked properly. Interlinking properly is one thing. I've built a website with 8 million pages on it, and we got 3.5 million of them indexed, and then the ones that didn't have backlinks fell out. And they were interlinked properly. So interlinking is a valuable thing. If you don't do it, you're going to have a significant hard time, but it's not going to be the only thing. So, and it's not the initial indexing was exciting. It was great. And I imagine it would be if you do plenty of mass sites. It's the staying indexed that's the problem. Is there a tool that can visually show me internal links I have only from the content in the body and not in the menu? Nope, there is not. Other than you building a mind map and doing that, there isn't a tool that does it. All those visualization tools, every single one of them is built off of the URL structure of the website, not the actual links that are inside of them. So in order to do actual links, you would require the website to be using main content, the semantics of main and article. And then you would teach your crawler to only look in the article section and only count those, and then to report on those and build visualizations on those. And no one's done that yet because most coders, and they don't use those semantic tags inside of their sites. It's pretty much body and paragraphs, etc. And so being able to actually say that what's a part of the article and what's part of the footer or what's part of the sidebar is a little bit harder for tools. So they haven't cracked that nut yet. Nobody's cracked that yet. Not yet.
Hey, Clint, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
But I got a site that just got hit like 7 days ago with like thousands of referral adult websites. Their ranking just went to the tank, to the garbage. What's the best way to remove all those all those links that are coming from these porn sites like the RibTube, all this other stuff?
You
can't sabotage.
You can't remove them. You have to disavow them. Disavow is the only tool you got.
That's the only tool you got. So just go in there to the Google backend, just submit the thing, huh?
Yeah.
That's the best way just to, and how long usually takes?
That's the only way you're going to stop that. You don't control those sites, so they can build as many backlinks to you as our intent. So the only way you control that is to disavow it.
What's the turnaround time when they submit it to Google disavow versus they finally clear it out? What's the turnaround approximately?
It depends on the tools that you're using. If you Just submit the disavow and let it go. Then it's as Google finds the links, it processes them and finds it in your disavow file, and that takes forever. Or you pay $1,000 to link research tools, and they have that link detox boost, which submits them over and over and gets all those URLs recrawled, which speeds that process up. Or you can crawl the links and copy all the URLs and submit them to indexers over and over. But the process itself, there's no real definable time frame between you doing it and them and Google counting it, right? So
I see. So you said the best way, the fastest way. What is the fastest way you said?
link research tools.
Link research. What's it called? Is it?
It's link research tools. That's the name of it.
Oh.
It's a service. Link
Link.
research.
Is it part of Google or is it a third party company?
It's a third party company.
And they're pretty good at it, huh?
It's a software service tool.
I got you.
Google it.
Okay.
Google it and look it up. This isn't a class on how to use link research.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much. No, thank you so much, brother. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Do you recommend using the link disavow tool when they're pouring links search console linking domains? I would, Jay. Just it's more than likely they're not necessarily hurting you, but it's a. John Mueller has even gone out to say it's kind of a trust thing, right? If you're looking at your link profile and you're maintaining a disavow file, you've kind of hit a check mark in the trust file. So and you already have it taken care of, and you're already ahead of it before it does become an issue. Does that make sense? So, and you guys know that I used to say, if you don't have any problems, then leave the disavow file alone. I would kind of caveat that is, if you're going to build the disavow file and you manually review all the URLs and that you want to disavow, and you know, in your heart of hearts, you're like, this is shit, I don't want to point it at my site, and you put it in the disavow file, do it now before you have a problem, and it will save you a whole lot of work down the road. You mentioned link services quite a bit, but you also recommend email outreach for links for a wider range of link profile, or is not worth your time. Yeah, I mean, that outreach stuff, it's kind of a thing about it it's a I don't want to use the word, but holistic way to build your link profiles, right? So you get your PBN stuff, you got your social bookmarking, you got your Web 20 stuff, and then if you have really decent content, you can do that outreach and Haro, etc. And that just kind of rounds out your whole campaign. I wouldn't, if you have other means to get backlinks, then I don't know that I would spend a whole lot of time on outreach alone. But if you were doing like the ultimate guide to XYZ, and you knew a whole bunch of websites that talk about that topic, and you know it's going to be awesome to get backlinks from them, then it doesn't hurt to go ahead and do the outreach for that, right? Otherwise, just find a service that has done a whole bunch of outreach. There's quite a few of them out there that have done outreach, and they just maintain a database of websites that say yes. And just buy a few from them. Save yourself the time of the email stuff. But if you wanted to go the whole air quotes white hat method, and do outreach and resource link building and guest blogging and niche edit stuff, then I would maintain that database. So it's really it's kind of more of a business decision than an SEO decision. How much content do you typically use to rank a page for a medium company space? I'm guessing. I'm just trying to all my content, any piece of content I order for 1,500 words, 1,500 words, and then I give them the outline, what I want in that content, or depending on where I'm buying it. Like I buy my content from Express Writers, so I just give them a couple example websites and a keyword, and they go to town. That's kind of how I do it.
Hey, Clint, can I ask you another question? Any recommendation on any like a 4G proxy service or residential proxy service that you can give out?
No, I don't. I don't. The only proxies I use are semi-dedicated for my rank tracker and stuff, and I get all those from Railbyte, formerly known as Blazing Proxies. There's been a
So
lot of talk on
I'm sorry,
just
Railbyte.
yes.
Okay, BYTE or BITE.
You have to Google it. I don't know.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
And then I've heard a lot of talk. People of conferences and people have that do this stuff a lot. They're using Proxidize,
Proxidize, okay.
and that's a system you bring to your house and you build with cell
Okay.
phones and all that stuff. So
I got
those are
you.
the only two.
Thank you so much.
Disavow NVDH. Disavow links week to week, run them all through the index. Seriously, but Google needs to crawl them again. Yeah, that's the key. It's Google knowing Google has to crawl them again to get your detox list processed. It's just kind of the rule. Other than Harrow, what do you believe Google considers white hat backlinks? Google does not like link building, so they don't any link that you had an influence in building at all is black hat. They just want you to write a piece of content, promote it, and then get backlinks naturally. And real life doesn't work that way. So there is no set of backlinks that Google considers is white hat. I mean, technically, even the Harrow stuff, if you are using and applying the Harrow solely for the purposes of getting backlinks in order to rank higher, then you violated the terms of service, right? So I don't think of in backlinks on the white hat versus black hat moniker. I think anything, if you can get backlinks with tools like GSA, XRumor, SEO Autopilot, Ranker X, if you do outreach, if you do Harrow, if you do Web 20s and social bookmarks and all that stuff, those are all good means of generating backlinks. If you are hacking websites or you are buying niche edits from people that you know are going to hack websites, then you are, in my opinion, in black hat space, because those are riskier. If the hack is fixed, your links are gone, etc. Those kind of networks, there's a lot of niche edit networks out there like that. There's SAPE. And those would be SAPE is essentially hacked websites. They don't own those websites; they're hacked, and using PHP exports to embed your links, etc. So you those in my thinking would be black hat backlinks. So if you're asking what kind of links Google likes, honestly, Google likes all the links. I'm ranking pages with a pure zero risk strategy, which is if you build it, they will come. And I'm ranking pages with GSA and XRumor. Google is ranking those based off of those backlinks just fine. So it's more about your risk tolerance and what you're willing to allow to happen on your behalf. So can you explain more about social saying hi to people, Boris? You have to detail that question a little bit more. Keith, Express Writers does a great job as long as content you get what you pay for. Premium, yep, it is a premium content service. When should I buy links to the homepage compared to sub pages, and what anchors should be built? Homepage as here's how I do it. If I'm building, let's say I have an internal page that I want to promote, brand new article or whatever, I'll build a link. In this example, let's say I'm using SEO Nitro, I'll build a link to the internal page, and I'll also build one to the homepage. And I pretty much do that everywhere. Guest post, I'll build to an internal page I'm promoting to the homepage. And the homepage is 99 to 100% always going to be the brand. That's my anchor text, the brand name. And then if in the inner page, depending on where it's at, my tier ones would be the brand name with the keyword modifier, or the topic, or the title of the page. That's kind of how I do that. If you're in SIA, I gave out my tiered linking structure, and the anchor text I use for each one of those tiers, that's in the Discord. Under the paid thing, you can see that. That's how I handle it. Can you explain more about the social bookmarks? How do you build it? I use SEO Autopilot. They've got a section in there called SEO Autopilot. It's called SEO Bookmarks HQ for high quality. And I use those. Just because it's easier, Boris. If you don't have SEO Autopilot and you don't want to buy it, just go to Fiverr and get some bookmarks. You don't need all that many. The reason you're doing them is just to keep the page indexed and essentially build the referring domain. So there's a service, Sir Links a lot. They have some. I haven't tried them out yet, but it's a social signal service, and it's $19 for 225 social signals. Supposedly it's real accounts and premium accounts. If that's true, $19 is actually pretty good, because you could potentially generate a little bit of traffic from having those two. There used to be a service called Triber, that people, you give your social media accounts, and everyone give the social media accounts, and you share each other's stuff. That was really good. I was ranking pages just using that. So that Sterlink's a lot thing. If it's a page you really care about, I mean, $19 for 4 articles a month, which is the pace that I do for my clients. So let's see, 19 times 4, $76 a month for 225, we'll say 225 social bookmarks, 900 social bookmarks. That's not too bad. But I can do it with SEO Autopilot. So it's, decide how you want to knock it out. You can also do it with IFTTT rings, or Zapier, or Snap Pro in your WordPress installs, and auto syndicate out to your own brands. Social media accounts on publishing, and that will help you get that referring domain count number up for each post and help you with your indexing. So there's plenty of ways to skin that cat. Which tier do you hit with GSA or extra links from them to be effective and not hurt your money site? As I said, I am ranking websites with GSA and extra. Like, I hit the website, the money site with GSA and extra, and I rank with them. In my tiered link building for stuff that I cannot fry, like ever, then I use that at tier 5, depending on how far I want to go, depending on the competition and stuff. I don't build out tiers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a standard. I'll figure out where can I stop, and that's where I'll stop. I don't just build them out for the sake of building them out. But yeah, GSA, if in that tier, would be at tier 5. But I know how to use those tools, and I've been using them for years now. And I've taken the time to learn them. I didn't just buy some course and go, oh, I'm ranking it, right? I took the time to learn it for my markets, and I can rank web pages with those tools without having to worry about them being fried. All right. Well, questions and answers kind of took us out of the significant link interlinking thing. So, let's see. Yeah, I think I'll have to. I don't know. Maybe we'll do it next week. What do you guys think? Next week, or just keep going? If I keep going, the SIA crowd, I'm not going to stay later. So. All right. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll probably make a video. I'll just make a video this week and we'll make it I'll make it live talking about that significant link interlinking. Most of you probably don't even know what I'm talking about unless you watched last week's episode anyway. So I'll do I'll make a video and then I'll post it separately. And that's how that'll work. And that'll be awesome. So, and I don't see any more questions from the YouTube folks. So I think that's awesome. So just to recap, the topical SEO course from or semantic SEO course from Corey, academic, applying academics to what we commonly know in glossaries and definitions. He's got a unique way of creating websites. He's bringing content outlines from not only from the pages like I'm used to doing. He's bringing that essentially that content outline concepts to the entire website to build site structures. And that's working for him. He's in building topical maps. He is, and then the publishing pace is important in his regard, and depth and breadth is really what he's going after: depth, breadth, and publishing pace. Those three things in order to achieve the rankings that he's achieving. So, again, make that decision on your own if that's a course that you want to get into. There's a lot of testimonials and stuff saying how good it is. I don't know how much I would, in my opinion, there's some hype, but someone who's brand new might agree with those testimonials. But there's definitely a need for kind of bridging the gap between those patents that everyone's talking about, and it's the greatest and wonderful thing, and then real world application of the information that's in there, because the academic world and the real world are two different animals, right? We know that. So and the chat, what was that website I gave you guys? Jesus. Chatpdf.com. Check that out. Not only for looking at academic stuff, but you can just play around with PDFs and summarize those, etc. And I think that's pretty cool too to have in your toolbox. And with that, YouTube,